linger. And although I agree with you, some of Darwin's theories have changed or been modified, and a lot has been learned, the general population still thinks of it as a Darwin versus maybe intelligent design, maybe God, or other issues. So I think using Darwin is a nice, good word that people know what we're talking about without giving them a remedial course. Now, he wrote very well of animal emotions, terrific book on that, and one of the first of his kind, other than maybe Da Vinci 300 years before. He wrote a great book on worms and the use in vegetation and soil. But when he wrote about a theory of evolution, and you'll note that Professor Myers uses the word theory over and over and over again when he says it rather than the word fact, that's exactly what we're dealing with, is a theory. And it's a theory that science is disproving. Just like physics is getting into areas of uncertainty, so is science as they delve into things more and more in more depth. And so let's say, Darwin said that perhaps we were descended from monkeys, and that's carried in the common literature. But Darwin didn't know much about monkeys. He didn't know why children looked like their parents, even though Mendel was contemporary with him. He knew nothing about genetics. He knew nothing about immunity. He knew nothing about human cells or viruses, and how could he? It wasn't available then. And it's gotten so complex in biology that I don't think he'd be published now. This is not an argument with biology, by the way. I think that's misrepresenting what's going on. This is an argument against a particular theory within biology. And I'm not Christian. I am not on a mission. I am not a firm believer in the Bible. And I was a staunch evolutionist for 40 years. And I can argue the evolution side, I think, just as well as many. But looking at the facts as a physician has changed my mind. And it's been a progressive change for several years now. Natural selection, genetic variation, mutation, survival of the fittest are all natural laws, just like water boiling or water freezing. These are not at issue, nor is botany at issue or geology at issue. This is the theory of evolution that is at issue. In the fossil record, when one looks at the fossil record, Darwin had said that it was incomplete. Well, 200 years later, it's even more incomplete, and there's more questions. People who are pro the theory of evolution, whether they be new or old or somewhere in between on this theory, would like you to think that you could walk from the city of New York to the city of Los Angeles by taking a step to St. Louis and another step to Las Vegas and another step and you're in L.A., and they ignore all the stoplights and all the switches and all the turnpikes and all the restrooms on the way. It is not an easy transition, and they would like you to think it. And the more they learn in biology, the more they're at a loss to explain how these complexities came about. And being a physician, one of the standout issues, and there's many in the human body, take a human birth. And that in itself could be an hour or two or a day-long course as well. But essentially, when the child is born, it has to breathe at a very specific time. There could not have been any trial or error individuals or types of species that breathed too soon and suffocated or waited too long to breathe. And not only that, but there's a valve in the heart, actually it's a flap, that changes as we come out into the world to shift the blood to the lungs. There could not have been a trial and error of a species and had the species die off. And in fact, if we were to believe there were so many transition species, we ought to be up to our elbows in fossils that have all kinds of weird things. For instance, the neck of the giraffe, there's no fossil evidence of pre-necks like that, or pre-whale fossils. It's giant steps that they would think are easily taken in science when they're extremely complex.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to pause and come back and start addressing those. And PZ, since you started, I think what I'll do is give you an opportunity to first challenge Dr. Simmons, and then Dr. Simmons can then go back and challenge PZ. So thanks, both of you. You're listening to KKMS Live with Jeff and Lee. We're talking about the debate about Darwin's theories. We're talking about evolution. We're talking about a lot of different things. And so, and by the way, we're not going to be taking calls because this time will go by so quickly, but we will engage this discussion at a later date. So,
and you'll have an opportunity to reply as well. Stay tuned. More KKMS Live with Jeff and Lee coming right up. Again, you can listen online at kkms.com, and we will get this audio posted up on the website, too, for future reference. Also, if you swing by the website, you can get more information, too, on our KKMS Creation Museum Tour coming up February 23rd through the 26th.
Back to more of KKMS Live with Jeff and Lee.
This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we are to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need, but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth.
KKMS Live with Jeff and Lee here on AM 980 KKMS, more Spirited Talk Radio. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us as we talk and debate the issues surrounding Darwin's theories, evolution, these kinds of issues. We have on the line with us Dr. P.Z. Myers, who is associate professor. He's a biologist. He's associate professor at the University of Minnesota Morris. And also joining us is Dr. Geoffrey Simmons, who is a medical doctor. He's a senior fellow of the Discovery Institute. He's also author of the book Billions of Missing Links. And we appreciate you both being on the show with us, and it's been fascinating. Prior to the break, you both gave your presentations. I tried to explain that it was my fault that I didn't have this vetted by Dr. Simmons, and by the time he was aware of it, he had preferred a different...
So we get for putting it together in 3 days.
Yeah, and so that was my fault if I should have had it verified with Dr. Simmons before I had gotten back to PZ, but it was kind of one of those deals where you're doing it in the middle of the show and trying to get it done. And so I apologize, but anyway, let's soldier on and debate these particular issues. And you just heard Dr. Simmons give his side of things, so to speak. And PZ, do you want to address any particular subject that he brought up?
Sure. Several subjects, actually. First of all, he did not defend his side because he didn't present a side. What he admitted right at the beginning is that he was not going to discuss any evidence for any alternative theory to evolution. So, this is what, if this were politics, we'd say this is a negative campaign. He's got nothing good to say about his side, but he's got lots of bad things to say about the other guy. And it doesn't matter how true they are or not. The other thing is I was astounded that he repeated a very common misconception. He thought I was admitting that there was a problem with evolution because I called it a theory. A theory is a good thing. A theory is a powerful thing. In science, a theory is an idea, a conceptual framework that integrates a large body of evidence, has a lot of explanatory power, brings many different ideas together, and allows you to make predictions. So when scientists are sitting there calling the evolution a theory, they're not saying it's a guess or that it's flawed. They're saying this is a powerful tool that we use in our work. That's what it means to a scientist, and I'm just kind of surprised that Dr. Simmons is not aware of this. But anyway, the other part of his argument is this claim that the fossil record is incomplete.